I have not seen Sinners, but it has sparked a lot of spiritual and religious discourse, and I want to talk to y'all about hoodoo and why you should not be practicing hoodoo if you don't have a mentor. One of my mutuals spoke about how she used to practice hoodoo, but then she went back to Islam because the spirit essentially almost led her to her death, okay? And this is why anytime people get into hoodoo and they think they should set up an altar or they should start practicing, it's one of them things where it's like, at this point in my journey, I get a little nervous because I think people need to understand that you need to have an elder in order for you to practice this tradition correctly. She said in the video that all of these practices and spirits, they are indeed real, and she wasn't trying to demonize any practice. However, I wanted to add to the conversation because I think that one of the things that she didn't speak about is mentorship, and how a lot of people, they get into these practices, they start working roots, they start creating mojo bags, they start working with different spirits, and they don't know who the hell they're talking to. And then African spiritual practices get demonized, not recognizing that in any practice you need a mentor. You need somebody that's going to teach you the ropes, somebody that you can learn from. And people think that when you're getting into African spiritual practices, it's supposed to be different because you learned something from TikTok. It's not different. If you were not in spiritual community that was ethical, that was authentic, you are indeed setting yourself up for failure, spiritual psychosis, trickster spirits, because I'm pretty sure that probably was a trickster spirit. And I'm saying that because I value African spiritual practices deeply, and I think there's a deep misunderstanding of them, mainly because people are not getting into mentorship and they think they're too good to be a student or learn from somebody that's older than them off the strength that hoodoo is a communal practice. So how you actually learning hoodoo if all you doing is reading articles on Google and looking at videos on TikTok, creating stuff, not knowing what you're doing? You practicing something else and you working with spirits that you don't know nothing about, which is why a lot of people run back to Christianity or they run back to Islam. Not to say this my choose journey, but still. I also think that, it's interesting that she said one of her ancestors actually led her back to Islam. So if one of your ancestors led you back to a spiritual practice that you should be practicing, right? Because everybody not meant to practice hoodoo that has it in their bloodline, okay? That's another thing. But if your ancestor led you back to Islam, what led you to the ledge? Do you know what I'm saying? That's why we have to have these conversations and really speak to the fact that you need a mentor. You can't just be doing stuff.